Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. Swordfire X5 here in the studio on this beautiful December 8th, 2021, friends. Here tonight to talk about somebody who I've just come to admire and appreciate, and who I think has been overlooked and underappreciated for a long time, and that's Ted Nugent, okay? I discovered today by listening to his interview on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast that Ted Nugent is an American badass. He's a man that stands up for liberty, isn't afraid to say what is on his mind, believes in leaving everybody alone, letting everybody mind their own business. You know, he's very on the primal side, you know, getting in touch with the earth and the cycle of life here on earth, you know, going back to your roots, living off the land. The man is 73 years old, and he gets up and he goes hunting every day, and he provides for his family. You know, he believes in the spiritual experience of providing for his family, and he also donates, I can't remember how many he said, it was like a lot, to like pounds of meat or whatever every year to these homeless shelters, you know, that are in need of feeding the, you know, the people in poverty, living in poverty. And he gives it to them for free, obviously, you know, but he does a lot with the community and giving back, you know, what he can, you know, without relying on government. That's what I'm like, this dude's a badass. You know, I was listening to the podcast on Spotify, and I got halfway through it, and he was going into Fred Bear. He has a song called Fred Bear, but he was going into who Fred Bear was, and like, I never knew that Ted Nugent like hunted his whole life since he was a little boy with the maker of Bear Archery, you know, the company or whatever now. But he just was going into the stories and the things he learned from people he grew up with, you know, the connections, you know, the life lessons, and just really hearing him talk and speak. I'm like, this dude is like a modern day Chuck Norris. Like, he's like a hero, you know, like he's an American patriot who wants to be left alone, who wants other people to learn to live off the land and, you know, provide for themselves and their families without, you know, sucking on the government's teat. I like that. You know, I just discovered today that Ted Nugent and all his songs, they're all about standing up for what you believe in. You know, they're like getting back to the land type music. But it's rock and roll. The guy, you know, he's a rock and roll guitarist. He's a guitar like master. I mean, have you listened to the song Stranglehold? It's one of the greatest songs of all time. So, you know, but that's what and I'm just like, man, you know, I like what the dude's saying. I like what he believes in, and like, it's good to see, you know, somebody like on a higher, you know, more influential level to look up to, because that's very hard to find now. You know, in the past, I think movie actors and, you know, politicians even are like role models for a lot of people. And then, you know, same thing in the music industry, but the music industry, most of them people are bought and paid for, you know, not Ted Nugent. You know, he just loves playing music. He loved playing music since he was like 5 years old. You know, he was doing concerts at like 12 years old. He was opening up for bands. At 14, they were like opening up for other shows. And like, his love for just being in the country and playing guitar, you know, has fueled his success. I think that fascinates me. I love that about him, you know. I was going to add something else to that as well. to the being bought and paid for. But, you know, it's just good to have a good role model that, like, you could say, man, that guy's actually a badass, you know? It's like, you know, it's good to have a hero. You know what I mean? You know? So that's my thoughts on it anyways. Like, if you want to check out that episode, you know, you can try to listen to it on Spotify. But halfway through it, I was saying this, it like glitched out on me. And like on the ride home, I was listening to it and it glitched out on me. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I closed out the app, rebooted it, you know, still just freezing up. It wouldn't let me listen. It let me listen like 2 seconds and then it would pause for 5 minutes, 2 seconds. And so I got home and I tried it on the Xbox or whatever. I opened up and rebooted the system, you know, and same issue. I'm like, okay, this is the freaking Matrix right now fighting back, because I believe that shit happens, man. Like, the system fights back when they don't want you listening to something, you know? Control, man, that's what it's about. But, you know, that's all right. I'm going to find a way to listen to it. You know, I'll finish that episode. But I wanted to make one tonight on my thoughts on it. And, you know, maybe go check out some Ted Nugent's music, because he's just a classic rocker, man, who lives off the land. You know, he hunts, he fishes, shoots a bow and arrow. It's great. I freaking think it's awesome. So if you want to check it out, though, it's on the Joe Rogan Experience. Ted Nugent. I think it's the last 3 or 4 episodes. It wasn't that long ago. So until then, I will see you guys on the next one. This is Swordfire X5. Everybody have a good night.